The story begins with a powerful dream. When Nathaniel Shepard was a child, he wrote a letter about humanity one day living on Mars. Years later, as the head of the Genesis company, he finally turns that dream into reality. His company launches a historic mission to the Red Planet. 6 astronauts are sent on a one-way journey to Mars with a bold goal: create the first permanent human settlement outside Earth. The mission is led by astronaut Sarah Elliott. She and her team know that they may never return home, but they are ready to sacrifice everything to make history. The launch is successful, and the crew begins the long journey through space toward Mars. However, 2 months into the trip, something unexpected happens. Sarah discovers that she is pregnant. The news shocks everyone. A baby developing in space has never happened before. The spacecraft also cannot turn back, so the mission has no choice but to continue toward Mars. The situation becomes extremely risky because nobody knows what will happen to a child born in zero gravity. When the crew finally arrives on Mars, Sarah goes into labor. With limited medical equipment and no real experience, the astronauts work together to help her deliver the baby. Against all odds, a healthy baby boy is born, but the celebration does not last long. Because of the low gravity on Mars and the stress of childbirth, Sarah suffers severe complications and dies shortly after giving birth. The entire team is devastated. Back on Earth, scientists begin studying the baby's medical data. They soon realize something alarming. Since the boy developed in the weaker gravity of Mars, his body, especially his heart and bones, has adapted differently. If he ever returns to Earth, the planet's stronger gravity could kill him. Nathaniel Shepard now faces a difficult decision. Keeping the Mars colony running requires massive funding, and if the public discovers what happened, the mission might be canceled. Without that funding, the baby would have no chance of survival. So the company makes a secret agreement. The child will stay on Mars, and the world will never know he exists. The baby is named Gardner Elliott, and only the small Mars crew and a few executives on Earth know about him. Years pass. By the time Gardner turns 16, he has lived his entire life inside the Mars research colony. He has met only 14 people in total. Growing up surrounded by astronauts and scientists has made him incredibly intelligent, but his life is extremely lonely. Kendra Wyndham, one of the astronauts, becomes the closest thing Gardner has to a mother. She helps raise him and teaches him everything he knows. Gardner also spends much of his time exploring the station with the help of a small robot companion. Even though he is curious about the world, he has never stepped beyond the colony walls. Gardner constantly wonders about his past, especially about his parents. He knows almost nothing about his mother, and nobody has ever told him who his father is. One day, his curiosity pushes him to search for answers. He hacks into a locked storage compartment that once belonged to his mother. Inside, he finds a small bag containing a ring and a flash drive. When he opens the files, he discovers an old video of Sarah on a beach with an unknown man. The two of them laugh and play around like they are very close. Gardner immediately assumes the man must be his father. Excited, he saves a picture of the man from the video. Meanwhile, Gardner has been secretly chatting online with a girl on Earth named Tulsa. Tulsa lives in Colorado and has a completely different life. She is bold, adventurous, and dreams of exploring the world. However, she has problems of her own. Tulsa grew up in foster care and constantly moves between homes, never having a real family. Because both of them feel like outsiders, they quickly become close friends. Gardner tells Tulsa that he cannot leave his home because of a rare bone condition. Tulsa doesn't believe him and assumes he's just joking or exaggerating. But Gardner's situation is real. He feels trapped inside the colony and begins to grow frustrated with his limited life. One day, overwhelmed by emotions, he sneaks outside the base and drives a rover across the Martian surface. It quickly turns into a disaster. Gardner loses control of the vehicle, and it flips over. His oxygen line disconnects, leaving him struggling to breathe. Within moments, he is close to suffocating. Luckily, Kendra arrives just in time and rescues him. After bringing him back to the station, she scolds him for risking his life. But the accident also makes everyone realize something important. Gardner cannot spend his entire life trapped on Mars. Kendra contacts Nathaniel Shepard on Earth and argues that Gardner deserves a chance to see his home planet. Nathaniel agrees, but the situation is extremely dangerous. Gardner's body was designed for Mars's weak gravity. If he goes to Earth, the stronger gravity could crush his heart. The only possible solution is a series of complex surgeries and intense physical training to strengthen his body. Despite the risks, they decide to try. Gardner begins a difficult preparation program. He undergoes medical procedures and trains his body to handle stronger gravity. Kendra supports him through every step. When the preparations are finally complete, Gardner shares the exciting news with Tulsa. He tells her that he will soon be traveling to Earth and finally meeting her in person. Tulsa is thrilled and jokingly tells him to hurry before she gets moved to another foster home. Soon after, Gardner boards a spacecraft with Kendra and begins the journey to Earth, the planet he has never seen but has always dreamed about. During the trip, Gardner asks Kendra if she knows anything about his father. She gently admits that nobody knows who the man in the video really is, but Gardner is determined. When he finally reaches Earth, he plans to find the truth about his father and experience the world he has only ever seen through a screen. When Gardner's spacecraft finally reaches Earth, Nathaniel Shepard anxiously waits for his arrival. For years, he has watched the boy grow up from millions of miles away, and now he is finally about to meet him face to face. For Gardner, stepping onto Earth is overwhelming. He sees the endless sky, the open ocean, and a world far bigger than the small Mars colony he grew up in. Everything feels new and exciting, but his freedom doesn't last long. Scientists immediately place Gardner under strict medical observation. Because he was born and raised in Mars' weaker gravity, his body is not designed to survive on Earth. Doctors begin running test after test to monitor how his heart and bones react to the stronger gravity. Nathaniel eventually meets Gardner, and the two talk for the first time. Their conversation is awkward but curious. Gardner asks questions about Earth, while Nathaniel asks about life on Mars. The moment is cut short when doctors insist Gardner must continue medical testing. Gardner quickly becomes frustrated. He starts to believe that they are planning to send him back to Mars before he can truly experience Earth. So he makes a bold decision. Gardner escapes the facility. For the first time in his life, he runs freely outside without walls around him. However, he quickly realizes that Earth is very different from Mars. When he tries to jump the way he used to on Mars, his body barely lifts off the ground. Earth's gravity feels much heavier. Soon it begins to rain. While everyone else rushes for cover, Gardner simply stands there, amazed as water falls from the sky. Rain is something he has only read about before. Feeling it on his skin fills him with wonder. After exploring the city, Gardner boards a bus heading to Colorado. His goal is to finally meet Tulsa, the girl he has been talking to online for years. Meanwhile, Kendra and Nathaniel discover Gardner has escaped and immediately begin searching for him. They already suspect where he might be going. Gardner arrives at Tulsa's school and sees something he has never experienced before. Hundreds of teenagers his own age. When he finally spots Tulsa and calls out her name, she walks straight up to him and slaps him. She is furious. For 7 months, Gardner completely disappeared during his journey from Mars to Earth, and Tulsa believed he had simply abandoned her. Gardner tries to explain that he couldn't contact her during the trip. After calming down, Tulsa reluctantly forgives him. When the school bell rings, she heads to class, and Gardner follows her inside. The teacher assumes he is a new student and allows him to sit in. During the lesson, the teacher asks a question about Thomas Edison. When another student gives a vague answer, Gardner jumps in and gives a detailed explanation about electricity, Tesla, and the rivalry between the two inventors. The class is impressed by his knowledge, though Gardner doesn't understand basic social behavior and ends up embarrassing himself in the classroom. Later, Tulsa confronts him outside and demands the truth. Gardner calmly tells her something unbelievable. He says he is from Mars. Tulsa laughs, assuming he's joking, but Gardner insists it's true and explains that he came to Earth to find his father. He shows her a picture of a man taken from an old video of his mother. Although Tulsa still doubts his story, she decides to help him search for the man. However, their plan is interrupted when Nathaniel and Kendra finally track Gardner down. They warn him that his health is already deteriorating and that he must return to Mars before Earth's gravity destroys his heart. Gardner refuses. Desperate to continue his search, he runs away again. Tulsa helps him escape using an old aircraft belonging to her foster father. The two manage to get airborne, but the flight quickly goes wrong when mechanical problems force them to make an emergency landing. The aircraft crashes and explodes, leaving Nathaniel and Kendra terrified that Gardner has died. But Gardner and Tulsa survive. They steal a car and continue their journey across the country, determined to find Gardner's father before it's too late. As they travel, Gardner experiences the world with childlike wonder. Everything amazes him. Busy highways, restaurants, music, animals, and even simple things like burgers or balloons floating in the sky. At the same time, Nathaniel and Kendra are desperately trying to track him down. A doctor soon calls them with alarming news. Gardner's blood tests show dangerously high levels of troponin, a sign that his heart is failing. His body simply cannot survive long under Earth's gravity. While his health quietly worsens, Gardner continues exploring the world with Tulsa. The two buy new clothes, camp under the stars, and grow closer as they travel together. Gardner eventually confesses that he thinks Tulsa is beautiful. His honesty catches her off guard, but she slowly begins to realize how special he is. Their bond deepens, and the two share a romantic night together beside a campfire. Meanwhile, Gardner finally finds a clue about his father. The ring he took from his mother's belongings turns out to be a rare wedding ring connected to a small ceremony performed years earlier. Following this lead, Gardner and Tulsa travel to meet a man who may have been present when his parents were married. The man confirms that he remembers Gardner's mother but does not know the identity of the father. However, he does have an old payment record containing Sarah's home address. This gives Gardner a new lead, but before they can continue the search, Gardner's health suddenly worsens. His nose begins bleeding and he collapses from exhaustion. Tulsa rushes him to a hospital. There, doctors examine his body and make a shocking discovery. Gardner's bones and heart are completely different from a normal human's. The medical scans confirm that his body was formed in another environment. At that moment, Tulsa finally realizes that Gardner has been telling the truth the entire time. He really was born on Mars. When Gardner wakes up, he tells Tulsa they need to leave immediately. He believes the doctors won't be able to save him, and he doesn't want to waste the time he has left. Even though Tulsa is terrified for him, she agrees to help. The two quietly escape the hospital and continue their journey, unaware that Nathaniel and Kendra are already racing toward the same destination, hoping they can reach Gardner before it's too late. Following the address they discovered earlier, Gardner and Tulsa finally arrive at the house connected to his mother's past. Gardner is filled with hope. For him, this could be the moment he finally meets the father he has been searching for. Inside the house, they find the man from the old video sitting quietly. Gardner excitedly approaches him and shows the photo of him and Sarah together. He explains that Sarah Elliott was his mother and that she died shortly after giving birth to him. Gardner believes the man in front of him must be his father, but the man immediately denies it. At first he seems confused and emotional, but eventually he reveals the truth. Sarah was actually his sister, which makes him Gardner's uncle, not his father. The revelation leaves Tulsa shocked. When she turns around to explain everything to Gardner, she realizes he has already walked outside toward the ocean. Tulsa runs after him and shouts that the man isn't his father, but Gardner barely reacts. Standing at the edge of the water, he calmly says that it doesn't matter anymore. His mother's ashes were scattered in this ocean, and this place makes him feel close to her. Gardner knows his body cannot survive much longer on Earth. With quiet acceptance, he says that he may not have chosen where he was born, but he can choose where he dies. Moments later, he collapses into the water. Just then, Nathaniel and Kendra arrive. They rush into the ocean and pull Gardner back to shore, barely managing to revive him. Seeing Gardner in such a fragile state finally breaks Nathaniel emotionally. For years, he had hidden the truth, carrying guilt over Sarah's death and Gardner's life on Mars. As Gardner slowly regains consciousness, he asks Nathaniel a simple question about his mother. Nathaniel's emotional reaction reveals the truth. He admits that he is Gardner's real father. The loss of Sarah years earlier had destroyed him, and the guilt pushed him into isolation. He believed he had failed both Sarah and Gardner, which is why he stayed away. But now, there is no time left for regret. Gardner's condition is critical, so they quickly rush him to a nearby airport where a special aircraft is waiting. The only way to save him is to escape Earth's gravity. As the plane climbs higher and higher, Nathaniel takes control of the aircraft and pushes it far beyond normal flight limits. Eventually, they reach the edge of space where gravity weakens. Inside the cabin, everything begins to float. In zero gravity, Gardner's body finally stabilizes and he regains consciousness. For the first time since arriving on Earth, his heart is no longer struggling. Although he survives, everyone understands the difficult truth. Gardner cannot stay on Earth. Mars is the only place where his body can live. Soon, preparations are made to send him back. The farewell is painful. Gardner says goodbye to Tulsa and Kendra, knowing he may never see them again. However, Nathaniel decides he will not abandon his son this time. He returns to Mars with Gardner so they can finally live together as father and son. Back on Earth, Kendra makes a life-changing decision as well. She retires from her position and adopts Tulsa, giving her the stable family she never had. Kendra even begins preparing Tulsa for astronaut training, hoping that one day she might travel to Mars and visit Gardner. Meanwhile, on Mars, the colony continues to grow and expand. Gardner finally has both answers and family. Walking across the red landscape beside his father, he has accepted Mars as his true home. And with that peaceful moment, the story comes to an end.